everybody, and welcome to the show. I'm excited today. We've got a big show today. We actually have, now listen, for all you guys that know, Charity Lynch, National Committee woman for Oklahoma, for the GOP, is, I frequently say the only honest member of the GOP. And she says that there's others, right? So we brought on, a couple others from around the country. And I admit, we found like 3 or 4 honest GOP members around the country. And we're going to bring on another one today, our new friend, Amy Kramer from Georgia. But I got to tell you, I was skeptical. I said, well, you're going to tell me we got someone from the GOP from Georgia that's actually honest? Yeah, no, I guess we'll find out. No, we do. Amy's a good egg, and we'll be talking about that. But we're going to talk about some interesting stuff. We have to retake the GOP, right? The GOP has to quit being Republican and start being MAGA, because MAGA is the base of the Republican Party. MAGA has resoundingly made its presence known. And there's no question that the people who support the Republican Party are MAGA, and MAGA is the Republican Party. So we want to make America great again. We want to make America healthy again. We want to do a bunch of different things, but it's not being done. Meanwhile, we have to talk about how we can start getting proper support, because look at what's going on. We just had the FDA just agreed to fast track an saRNA vaccine. This is one of the most dangerous things on the planet. saRNA is self-amplifying RNA tech, just like mRNA, but worse, right? Worse. This stuff actually reproduces. It recreates itself. So it's like putting mRNA in your body that then makes more of itself. It's horrific. And yet we're going to fast track it. We've got to get Bobby the support so he can do what he needs to do, because right now, Pierce's hands are pretty tied. We've got to make sure that we're integrating the MAHA stuff across the board, right? So speaking of Georgia just passed a bill to grant immunity, like vaccine immunity, to these chemical pesticide makers, right? These are people who are making poisons that are akin to the worst stuff out there. I mean, glyphosate of all things. Bayer Pharmaceuticals is running around the country buying off state legislatures to try and get them to pass immunity bills so that they can pass this poison onto your kids and their families and give everybody cancer, because that's what glyphosate does, right? We have them on record in courtrooms where they've demonstrated these guys have manipulated studies, they've lied about it, they've failed to disclose risk to consumers. This stuff is, you know what? This is kind of like selling hand grenades to elementary school kids and saying, there's no safety issues here. I mean, it's just unbelievable what's occurring. The solution here is we have to retake control of the Republican Party, and it has to be grassroots control. The Republican Party decides who's getting in and who's getting out on the Republican side. They can control the primaries. They can do these things. We have to retake that party. And I keep pushing this because it's a necessary thing, but it's critical. It's critical. So we're going to talk about some of that stuff today. We got all sorts of other things. We've got some interesting thing. Trump got rebuked in the Supreme Court pretty big. The ruling, regarding him to not effectuate, but to facilitate the transfer back of someone he deported was a big deal. If we can, we're going to get to that. But that's a very big deal. And that was a unanimous decision. All the justices agreed, and they did so for a very specific reason. You've got to understand something. This was not an activist ruling. Okay. Now, the lower court ruling might have been a bit activist, but the Supreme Court ruling was not activist. What the Supreme Court was saying is that, listen, you got foreign policy control, and yes, you can deport immigrants, and okay, that's fine, but we got to have a check on that, right? You can't just at will say anybody you want to deport can be deported without cause and without trial. And I want you guys to think about this. For those of us that love MAGA and support Trump, think about this. If Joe Biden had that power, where would we have been? What if Joe Biden could have said to, hey, I don't like this Renz guy. He's an illegal something, and we're going to deport him to El Salvador. And no trial, no anything. They just send me off. The Supreme Court's saying you can't do that. There's limitations, right? And I don't disagree with their ruling on it. Now, can Trump facilitate this guy coming back? I don't know so much about that. But the court seems to be, in my opinion, taking a stand on the idea that you can't just deport people with no ability for them to say, wait, you got the wrong guy. And that's fair, because if you don't have that, you could deport the wrong person, right? Well, there does have to be. We have always believed in this country, it's better for 1,000 guilty men to go free than one innocent man to go to jail. And I love Trump's zeal. I love what he's doing on the border security, but that's something that in this case, we need to really kind of check and see whether, do we need a check on that? Also, but at the same time, we've got another lawsuit, which I think is really interesting. Trump reclassified a bunch of employees as being, quote, central to national security missions. What that does is that gets rid of the collective bargaining nonsense that Biden used to tie Trump's hands right before he left office. I love that move. That's brilliant, and that'll be an interesting thing here. I hope Trump can get that one. I think he's got a good chance of winning that one, but we'll see what happens here. So, anyways, when there's so many problems in the courts, the problem is that even when you get a good ruling, it's easy to say it's a bad ruling because we've had so many bad rulings, right? We've got so many activist judges. So that's the thing. We got to look at all this, and we'll be here to try and kind of take us through all that and talk about all that and figure out all that as we continue on. So, before I get to the show, I want to bring on everybody and get into the depth of this stuff. But before I do, please consider supporting us. Become a monthly supporter. GiveSendGo.com/Renslaw. GiveSendGo.com/Renslaw. $20 a month makes a world of difference to us. Keeps us fighting, keeps us going. We appreciate your support. We love you guys. We're thankful for all that you've done. And we're looking forward to a lot of fighting coming up, because it looks like there's going to be a lot to do. Also, go to TomRenz.com. www.tomrenz.com. Join us, support us. You can also donate there however you want to support us, but consider going to our shop. Check out our partners and affiliates. Of course, check out Kirk Elliott Precious Metals and SatPhone, sat123.com. I mean, these guys are great partners to me, great sponsors. They've got great products. If you need gold and silver, which you do, or if you need, to stay connected with reliable internet and connection. I mean, what if our phone lines go down? What if the internet goes down? What happens if there's a disaster? Not that we ever have any manufactured weather disasters. Of course, that's all conspiracy theory, right? Whatever's going on, make sure you've got a sat phone. Make sure you've got, some of the different solutions that they offer at Sat123 are great. I love their Faraday bags and Faraday this and Faraday that. They actually have bulletproof backpacks, which are really, really cool. I actually have my kids each have one of their bulletproof backpacks. I think that's just cool as can be. Full Kevlar. It's really cool stuff. They've got great products there. It's not just sat phones. Make sure you're checking out satphonestore.com and Kirk Elliott Precious Metals. So support us at TomRenz.com again. Okay. Without further ado, let me bring on my friend Charity Lynch and our new friend Amy Kramer. We are up to 3 honest Republicans in the country. Charity, are there 4? Are we going to find a 4th?
Yeah, I'm bringing more. I'm telling you, there's more. There is. Because this is a movement across the country of the patriots taking back the party. That's what's happening.
Well, that's what we have to do, right? I mean, the party is not representing. The reason that we have so many Mitch McConnells in the Senate and so many, pick your House Rhino. But the reason we have so many of them is because the Republican Party's been lost. The Republican Party backs whoever is going to win with an R by their name. And it doesn't matter whether they're actually MAGA. It doesn't matter whether they're freedom loving. It doesn't matter whether they're conservative. They just care. And the Democrats have figured that out. So now the Democrats run people as Republicans, even when they're not. And, our party unwittingly just says, vote for them. Right?
Well, because so many, and it's not every Republican, but there are so many, especially the ones at the top, that just wanted a social club. They wanted to be able, they will even tell you, look, just get Republicans elected. Don't worry about the issues and raise money. Those are your jobs. And I got to tell you, those are not our jobs. No. That is a very small portion of what we do. But I'm actually, I'm running for chair. We talked about this last week.
I do know that. I'm supporting you for chair.
Yes, I appreciate that. So they're accusing me of destabilizing the party.
Oh, my goodness. We can't have that.
We're destabilizing the social class, and they know it. And that is intentional. but the party will be stronger because the patriots are in charge and the patriots are taking it back and saying, we want the R to mean something. And so we are absolutely destabilizing the establishment. And that is the concern I'm hearing in Oklahoma as we are gaining traction. I mean, we have control of every committee right now in the Republican Party in Oklahoma. And they're concerned. They're saying, they're calling us rogue. We're like, it's mob. What are they? Mob rule. If we have the majority, it's like, no, that's called how it works. It's with the majority. It's not mob rule. But
let's talk about that, right? And let's talk about that, and then let's compare it to this is the most foundational issue in the country right now. Yeah. Right? Unless we take control of the Republican Party, they will continue to undermine Trump and MAGA instead of supporting it. They will continue to obfuscate, go along to get along policies that have brought us to where we are today, which are, whoever's got the most money. I've heard over and over again, your job, like you said, your job's to raise money and get Republicans elected. Well, the problem with that is that means that the globalist billionaire crowd, the same globalist billionaire crowd that supports the Democrat Party, also controls the Republican Party. And we can't have that. We have to be a party of principle first. And we're not there right now.
We're getting there, though. Do you remember back in The Simpsons, whenever they would have the two aliens running for office, and one would be a Republican and one would be a Democrat, and then they'd pull off the mask and it was the alien. It didn't matter which one you voted for, you got the same guy. Yeah. That's what we've been dealing with. And every presidential candidate has been that until Donald Trump, which is why they hate him. What Donald Trump is doing is he's covering us and he's taking care of it up here so the patriots on the ground can move and get stuff done. And we are. The patriots are on the move. It's beautiful.
Well, listen, Charity, you and the Freedom Brigades have retaken Oklahoma by force, and you've done it because you've had active people through the Freedom Brigades getting involved in every county around the state, getting involved in every party position around the state. And we, the people, listen, we've always been the majority. We just were too lazy and inept to realize it. And so, and I do say lazy and inept. I'm taking the blame. It's us. I sat on my hands, in 2000, early 2000s when they're passing the Patriot Act. I was like, yeah, good security.
I was speaking against the Patriot Act. I was way ahead of you on that. I was like, you guys, this is the anti-Constitution.
But you guys were ahead of me. You and a lot of other people were ahead of me. In 2019, I was still pro-vax. I thought I was a great conservative. I love Rush Limbaugh. I listened to everything, but I didn't realize how far gone the Republican Party was. And let's compare and contrast, right? So for the last however many years, you, Charity, have been running around the state of Oklahoma to every county out there, every board meeting out there, every this, every that, building the Freedom Brigades and getting people involved. And you guys are about to retake it. And guys like crooked Senator Langford are about to find out what it means to be a dodo. What I mean by that is extinct. That's great. But at the same time, let's contrast. Now we're seeing movement in Georgia. Amy, you're there. Case study.
I am.
But you guys are more in process. So Oklahoma's about to retake the prize. You guys are kind of in the midst of the battle down there. You got a lot of rhino down there. And you're there, which is a testament to the fact that we, the people, are sick of it. But we're not fully there yet. So tell us a little bit about where you see us in that process of retaking Georgia to make the Republican Party actually represent the people instead of the Democrat globalist billionaires.
So thanks for having me on, Tom and Charity. I'm so honored to be here with you, my partner in crime at the RNC. There are a number of us, and I'm glad that Tom is going to have them on. Just to give you a little bit of background, because it's relevant to where things are in Georgia. I'm a former Delta flight attendant. And in 2009, I got involved through Twitter, connected with 22 other people, and we started the modern day Tea Party movement. So I'm one of the founders of the modern day Tea Party movement.
Did Delta fire you when they found out?
I had left Delta at that point, but so I, after the Tea Party movement started, we started Tea Party Patriots in my kitchen. I left Tea Party Patriots and I joined Tea Party Express and became chairwoman of Tea Party Express. And we were the organization that went across the country on the buses getting involved in Senate and congressional races, because it's just like with anything else. What's the definition of insanity, right? I mean, to continue to do the same thing over and over and expect different results. And the team at Tea Party Patriots wanted to do policy and legislative stuff, and that was not going to change anything. And I believe we need significant change. So we were involved in taking the gavel out of Pelosi's hand in 2010, and then in 2014 we took back the Senate. Fast forward, in 2012, I spent more time in Texas supporting Ted Cruz. I think we endorsed him at like 1 or 2% when everybody said he didn't have a chance in hell to win. And so come 2016, I had Cruz Crew, the originals, expected me to be on board with Ted Cruz, and I wasn't. I was on board with Donald Trump from the beginning. And the reason I was on board with Donald Trump from the beginning, because I felt strongly we did not need another politician in the White House. We did not need another lawyer as president. We needed somebody who understood world markets, trade, the economy, and how to get things going and moving. And so I was on board with President Trump. I'm one of the co-founders of Women for Trump, co-founded Women for America First in 2019 to help with his legislative agenda, the America First agenda. And then here I am as RNC committee woman. Now, I say all that to say to you, if you had told me even 5 years ago or 3 years ago that I would be part of the Republican Party and be on the inside, I would have told you you'd lost your freaking mind. There's no way in hell. That's just not who I've ever been. I've always been about the issues, and I've always been on the outside pushing the Republican Party to be better and for the candidates to be better. But what happened here in Georgia after the 2020 election was stolen, and it was my organization that after the 2020 election was stolen, we had the two big rallies in Washington, D.C. on November 14th and December 12th. And then on January 6th, we held the rally at the Ellipse with President Trump. I actually spoke on the stage that day before President Trump did. We never went to the Capitol. We weren't involved in what happened at the Capitol. But as you can imagine, our lives turned upside down after that, with the DOJ coming after us,
the J6
committee. Yes, absolutely. So here in Georgia, the elections were stolen. We know that. And when Fani Willis started her targeting, convened the special grand jury and started targeting our GOP chair and the electors, I called on our committee man and committee woman to stand up and defend the Georgia GOP and these electors, because nobody else would. And our chairman couldn't do it because he was the target. Well, they didn't do it. It was radio silence. So then, Tom, I said, you know what? I'll call the press conference as chairwoman of Women for America First. We'll hold the press conference. You come and speak and defend the Georgia GOP and these electors. Still radio silence. So then I wrote an op-ed. I think it was titled something like, Democrats bring Fight Club to Georgia and Republicans are MIA. Again, radio silence. And I not only called out the committee woman and committee man, but I also called out Ronna McDaniel by name in that op-ed. Still nothing. And that's when I said, you know what? I'm going to run against our committee woman, because we need warriors. The enemy is at the gate, and half these people don't even know who the enemy is and what's about to happen. Right. So I decided to run. I got in at the last minute, and it was hell. The attacks coming. I mean, it was literally 30 days. The attacks coming from the establishment, from the people in the party. The chair endorsed her. He refused to give me the delegate list for 11 days. But I was fighting for something I believed in. And the day of the convention, I won. And here I am. It hasn't even been a year yet. But I say all that to say to you, it's very important, because I knew Georgia was corrupt, and I knew Georgia has been corrupt and controlled by the good old boy network. Everybody talks about it, that Georgia's controlled by the good old boy network. I never understood the depths of it. And it wasn't until I got on the inside that I realized that the good old boy network and the political class not only control everything under our gold dome, our state capital, but they also control the Georgia GOP. Our chair works for the state of Georgia. There are a number of people on our executive committee that work for the state of Georgia, or has a family member that works for the state of Georgia, or who are lobbyists in the state of Georgia. And therefore, it is a conflict of interest, right?
Oh, yeah.
What the Georgia GOP is not engaged in a way that it should be engaged. And so we have our convention coming up, our state convention coming up in June. And I am proposing a rule change that anybody that works for the state of Georgia, anybody who has had a state contract within the previous 3 years or currently, or anybody that is a registered lobbyist in the state of Georgia, or any family member, any immediate family member that falls into one of those 3 categories, cannot serve on the Georgia GOP Executive Committee. We will not change Georgia. Our biggest problem right now are these godforsaken voting machines. We have no chance of getting rid of those machines until the Georgia GOP has a complete change in leadership, and it is not controlled by the good old boy network and the political class. And that is what has to happen for us to affect change. That is the only way the Georgia GOP will be engaged to its full capacity and be able to mobilize the base on these issues that matter here in our state. And until that happens, we have no chance. Now, a year ago, I could not have told you that. I could not have told you exactly what the problem was. Now, being on the inside, that's exactly what the problem is. And yes, I am a Republican, and I will tell you right now, not only on a national level, and Charity's heard me say this, not only on a national level, but on a state level, we have got to change the culture of this party, where the party does not exist to provide protection and cover for the politicians, but the party exists to represent the people, and we hold the politicians accountable.
That's it.
That exactly. is the most important thing. And we just elected 47 new members to the RNC this last cycle. That is unprecedented, never been done before, those numbers. And those people are MAGA. I mean, they want change. They're in the vein of Donald Trump and want change and want America first. Everything we should be doing should be America first. You know, some people would say there aren't America first people in the RNC. I think everybody in the RNC is America first, but I think that in the RNC, it's a matter of procedure and process, because what we know is Washington likes control and they don't like change. And so that's where the battle really is. If you're not America first and you're at the RNC, I mean, you should not be part of the RNC. You shouldn't even 100%. Be in the country. Right. But I do think that our battle at the RNC is on process and procedure, how things work. For example, we cannot submit a resolution except, you know, if we have a meeting, and we have those meetings, what, Charity, 3 times a year? Or
no, it's only twice a year.
Twice a year.
Resolutions, because our spring
yes.
is just going to be training.
Yes.
There'll be no resolutions in May when we meet.
Yes. And so, like, Tom, that kind of thing. And I've been told that, you know, people want to get rid of resolutions. They don't. Well, resolutions that's the way that the people have their voice heard. That is the voice of the grassroots. And so when there are things going on, and we need to support our president, support his policy, support his cabinet, whatever, we need to be able to pass resolutions and do it in a timely manner, so that, you know, you're not 6 months down the road before the next opportunity to pass a resolution. So that's kind of what I'm talking about. That's an example of what I'm talking about when I'm talking about policy and process, or not policy, the process and procedure, how things work. That's the kind of thing that I'm talking about. And it's going to be a battle. It will be a battle. But we need to get the party working for the people and not here just to serve and provide protection and cover for the politicians. And that's at a state level as well as at a national level.
Well, I think what you're saying is absolutely wonderful and brilliant and accurate. I mean, it's absolutely indisputable. So, you know, here's the question: how do we do that? And by the way, Amy, I want to come down in Georgia and help you. You know, as you guys get down there, if you want to bring me down and have me help you guys, you know, you're getting ready for your convention. You want me to come to your convention? You want me to help you in any way, shape, or form? However I can do it, I'm in. I mean, we and remind me, we'll talk off air. I texted Charity to introduce us via text, because what I'd like to do is have a conversation. We got some contacts down there as well, probably people you already know, but we can work down there and really kind of see what we can do about pushing this. What we need to do is replicate what we're doing, what Charity's done in Oklahoma, all over the country, in whatever way that works. But we have to work with the party to get it to change, right? We can't change it by one of the things that we tend to do as grassroots, as just regular people, is we get pissed. Right. We're like, you guys are a bunch of crooks. I want nothing to do with you. Right. And you got to change it. And the problem is that will never work. It's only going to change if we do it. We have to get involved. We can't stand outside and say, you got to change it. They're going to change it. They're self-interested. Unless you do what you ladies are doing, unless you get involved directly and change it from within, it does not change. This is local action, national impact at its finest, as General Flynn said, right? So, but we have to keep developing this. Now we've got, Arizona, we've got, Pennsylvania's got some great people. We've got Georgia, obviously. We've got Oklahoma. There's great people in a bunch of different states. Missouri has some good people, but we've got to get them working together in a way that's conducive to facilitating change, which means getting on the inside, fighting through the process, changing the process, and winning, because that's how we do it. There is no systemic change unless we retake control of that party. So I love that. Now tell me, in Georgia, so let's look at this. So Charity, because of her work, we start out and we get, as a huge coup for her to beat out, what I can't remember the sellout that she
Pam
beat.
Pollard, Proxy Pam.
Yeah, Proxy Pam. Beating Proxy Pam was a huge deal, and her win there was huge. And now, we want to see her win and become the state chair for the GOP. And at that point, we should have like a full sweep and actually have a fully GOP state that is actually MAGA. I mean, that'd be unbelievable, right? Now, you guys, we've got you. I'm sure you've got some people on some committees and some people in some areas that are 100% your side. But we've got to keep pushing that, right? So we've got to keep expanding.
Actually, Tom, I'm going to blow your mind when I tell you this.
Please.
But we do not. There's actually two people. There's Senator Colton Moore, and you may have heard about him. He was arrested. The House Speaker had him arrested back in January when he was going into a joint session in the Georgia chamber. He's the only one that stood up against Fani Willis. And then there's Charlize Byrd, who is a rep here in our house. But other than that, no one is aligned with the grassroots. They don't listen. That is what really brought my attention to
How about within the party?
Well, within the party, yes, there are some people with it. Listen, the grassroots is very strong in Georgia, but the problem is the legislature is beholden to Brian Kemp. Brian Kemp, after 2020, Brian Kemp came to the Georgia GOP convention that summer and was booed off the stage. After he was booed off the stage, he said, the Georgia GOP has, there's no need for the Georgia GOP anymore. The political climate has changed and they're obsolete, I'm paraphrasing, whatever. So he goes and starts his own, quote, Republican coalition. And what he's been trying to do is they have been trying to go into certain counties and form a group that runs parallel to the Georgia GOP, to the county GOP, and they're trying to take over at that level. At the same time that this is going on, he had the Georgia legislature write and pass legislation that has created this fund where he can raise unlimited amounts of money from anywhere, and we don't know where the money's coming from. And so what he has done, I've never seen a legislature, and I've worked in 49 of 50 states, I've never seen a legislature completely immune to the people. And in Georgia it is. And it is because they do not care what the people, their constituents, think. They only care what Brian Kemp thinks because he is the one line in their pockets. And so we don't have a good, there is a Freedom Caucus that the National Freedom Caucus has started, but there are very few in it. And at the end of the day, they're isolated, put over to the side. And so one of the biggest problems in Georgia is we haven't had a lot of victories. And with the grassroots, and you guys know this, you have to show that you are effective and can have victories and accomplish things. You know that, because if people are in a battle for so long and they never have any wins, they get tired of beating their head against a brick wall and they walk away and go home. And we have lost so many people because of that. We have got to figure out how to get some small wins. We've got to get the Georgia GOP working for the people. And that's when I think we will be able to change the dynamics of the Georgia legislature, where we can actually have some wins there, if that makes sense. It's complicated, but I'm just giving you the lay of the land.
No, it makes total sense. And that's critical. We've got to know what we're fighting.
Right.
So you and I have only had conversations about the RNC and how we're going to form our coalition and do all that. We need to have this conversation about the state, because I know how to organize the grassroots and I can help you. Let's have that conversation offline, because you and I both have our enemies watching right now too, right?
Oh, yeah. But you know what? This is the thing about me. I'll say it behind the scenes and I'll say it publicly. I have nothing to hide. Yes, I am about the party, and I do believe that we need to protect our brand, because the Democrats took us right up to the edge where we almost turned into a Democrat Marxist socialist country, and Donald Trump and the Republicans stopped that.
Yeah.
Donald Trump's not going to be at the top of the ticket the next time. And you could even take it as far as saying that Donald Trump and Republicans, save the world, because if America falls, so does Western civilization. So I'm here because I'm fighting for this party, our brand. But more than that, the most important thing is my country, right?
Absolutely.
My country is everything. And so I am a firm believer that you cannot call anybody else out if you're not willing to call your own out. 100%. And so we've got to clean up our own house before we can go clean up anything else.
That's right. Let's talk strategy afterwards, because I don't think that's what I protect is the strategy. But right. So Western civilization doesn't just fall; the entire world falls.
Yes,
we are the last stop for everybody.
Right.
I've got a meeting afterwards, but when we get done with this show, I got to do that. But I'd like to talk with you both. Because there's got to be some things that can be done. One of the interesting things that we see here is, that I was not aware of that law, and that explains why Kemp has been so powerful. I've wondered what the trip was, what he had going on to do that. But it's the globalist dollars, and that's always the trick, because the sellouts in the party, once they get elected, that's all that matters to them. It's getting reelected. So, but this is the thing, though, that we the people can fix that, right? We the people are the keys, and having them involved at the local level, getting some key people elected, and making sure that they've got rock solid support in their communities, that's going to make a world of difference. So, this is something that's critical. But you are the national committee woman for the state GOP, right? So, at the end of the day, there is a desire and an interest in making sure that the party is realigned under grassroots leadership.
Right.
You wouldn't have won that race. I'm sure that was a hell of a race. I'm guessing Kemp didn't want you to win it.
Yes, it was a hell of a race. And when they announced that I won, there were audible gasps in the audience. But this is the thing. Why don't they like me? They don't like me.
I like you.
Well, thank you, Tom, and I like you, and you too, Charity. But the political class here and the power brokers within the Georgia GOP do not like me because I'm not part of their club. And the worst part is I don't want to be part of their club. Right. I didn't come to this to be, to join a country club. When I go on vacation, I want to go with my family. Like, I don't need to I'm not here just to make friends, to give me, a place to fit in society. I'm here to clean up our state and to clean up our country. And that's what I'm here for. If I wanted to be If I wanted to be, in their club, then they could control me, right? But I don't want to be in their club, and therefore they can't control me, and that's why they hate me. But it's okay. I've been hated by everybody, and I'm not going to stop. I was elected. I have a constituency that I answer to, and it would be much easier to walk away, but I'm not a quitter. I am a fighter. They elected me to fight for them, and I will not back down, and I will not walk away. And I plan on serving every moment of this 4-year term. And if they try and remove me, which they've already talked about, if they try and remove me, then so be it. I'll go down fighting, but I will not walk away, and I will not, cower to them. Absolutely not.
So the Republican Party of Georgia, it's safe to say they feel insulated. They can do anything they want with Trump as long as they've got Kemp's globalist money. That seems like a bit of an issue to the MAGA universe, doesn't it?
Oh, it is 100%. 100%. But what they do is they say, oh, we're all Trump, we're all Trump, we're all Trump. But really, they're playing by Kemp's rules.
Yeah.
Kemp's the one in control, right?
Yeah.
I'm not saying that.
Are you suggesting there's politicians that are lying? I don't believe it.
Yeah, right. But I'm not saying they're opposed to President Trump and what he's doing. Don't get me wrong, but they march to Kemp's drum.
Yeah.
That's
and Kemp's drum is the drum of the globalists. They will support what the globalists support. One of the things that people don't understand is the money's all coming from the billionaire globalists.
Right.
All of it, Democrat and Republican. There is no independent money because there is no middle class anymore. There is no robust middle class in this country where we, the people, can donate to whichever party we want, and we, the people, collectively have more money than the billionaires at top. Right now, a vast majority of the world's wealth is controlled by a few, and that means that they control everything about it, right? So, and one of the things that people don't understand is that the difference, and consider this, I would like you both to consider this strategically. The difference in the wealth gap between those at the top and the rest of us is now so vast that those at the top can make the rest of us wealthy, but still far below what they have and still have total control. So, for example, you leave Congress, and if you've done the bidding of the billionaires, you're a multimillionaire. How many Congress people go in there, make $200,000 a year, and leave after a few years worth $20 million or more? But here's the problem: $20 million or more to a guy like me means living the good life.
Right.
But if you got $20 million and you go and piss off George Soros, you'll have nothing the next day, and you'll be grateful for it, because he's got so much more and such vast power and such control that he is still there. So there is no accountability for the people at the top. And so one of the things that I would suggest that you kind of consider strategically is, remember, if we want to regain control of the Republican Party, we've got to be able to find a way to negate that gap. Because when Kemp has globalist money there backing him, that globalist money extends not just as cash, but also as influence. Remember, the globalists control the media. They control the narrative. They control everything. Now, one of the game changers that's occurring right now is, the more, I'm not going to say free speech, but the more free speech that we have, or the greater free speech that we have online. Now, if we truly had free speech that was uncensored and it wasn't controlled by an algorithm that limits your reach if you say the wrong thing, then we'd really have something. But I'll take what we can get right now, because even with this more limited form of free speech that we're enjoying right now, it's having a huge impact. So, we've got to take the tools that we have, not worry about the tools that we don't. We've got to put them together strategically, and then we've got to find ways to negate that wealth gap. If we start doing that effectively, that's how we regain control. But it all starts, honestly, through the most valuable communication tools we have, which are, hey, I'm going to come to the church and talk to you guys this weekend. Hey, let's have a community meeting at this or a community meeting at that.
Right.
Do you guys have any sort of, bragging about Charity, because I do that frequently, she's done such incredible work with the Freedom Brigades. She can show up or have someone show up pretty much anywhere in the state because she's got such hardworking, amazing grassroots people backing her, and they're heroes, every one of them. You know, Charity, not to take away from anything she's done, but she gets to sit there as at the top of that heap because of all, much like me, right? So like, you know, people say, well, the work you've done, well, the work I did was only possible because of the giants whose shoulders I stood upon.
That's
right? Same thing for any of us, right? But we've got to develop that. Do you guys have in Georgia any sort of a grassroots movement push, anything that's really kind of coming together and coalescing where people could unify to really push for a change?
So we are organized here in Georgia. We definitely are. And what it's been organized around, honestly, is getting rid of those machines. It's all election integrity, and it is spread out from that. But again, you go back to, and in 2023, when our chair was elected at the Georgia GOP, it was an entire new executive committee that was elected at the Georgia GOP. But what he has done is he's frozen everybody out pretty much. He's compromised some, he's played some to be able to control them, and they're not now compromised, and they're part of that Kemp coalition. And then the others he's frozen out. It's like myself and our second vice chair. I mean, we laugh and say, we're like mushrooms. They put us in a dark corner and throw crap at us and close the door and just ignore us. And it is sad because we have not had a executive committee meeting since August 3rd of last year. We've not had a state committee meeting since before I was elected, May 16th of last year. And like right now, there are several people that are running for GOP executive committee, and my daughter's one of them. She threw her name into the hat to run for assistant secretary, and then somebody else named Lisa Pierce threw her name in to run for first vice chair. And what they've said is they don't qualify because they didn't send in their resume, their political resume, in the format they wanted them to. Well, the rules don't require a format that just says you have to submit your letter of intent and a political resume by March 15th at 5 p.m. So they both did that. But because it wasn't in a separate document, they now say they don't qualify. So they're going to try to run from the floor, but they're probably going to change the rules so they can't run from the floor. So their only other alternative is to go get an injunction to get placed on the ballot. So they're looking at that. But that's the kind of stuff that's being done to shut down the grassroots. And so, yes, we're organized, but at the same time, as I said, there have not been a lot of wins, and people are tired of beating their head against a wall. Right. And they know that they have to be on the inside to truly affect change. And so how we get there, it's been a battle, but we can't give up. Right. I mean, these people, you've got to be in the game to make change. And so it would be great for us to get some victories so that the grassroots can be encouraged to continue their fight and to live to fight another day. But Tom, I mean, I'm going to tell you, it's a real challenge. I don't think people understand just how bad Georgia really is.
So you said that the group down there, that everybody's focused down there and organized on the machines, and that's interesting. So you have a very broad coalition across the state that's focused on that?
Yes, we do.
And everybody's very committed to it, right?
Everybody's been very committed to it. There's a number, you know how this works. There's a number of different groups that come together, and they all meet, and, you know, whether it's at the Capitol for one day or
spend half their time fighting with each other, the other half their time getting things done.
Yeah. But I mean, they've been very good. They've been very consistent about it. And then they are focused on other things like the legislation that's just been passed, you know, because our session just ended. So some of the bad legislation coming out of session.
The glyphosate stuff is mind-blowing to me. How can you possibly support providing immunity to a company that in court documents clearly demonstrated that they were manipulating studies, withholding evidence, and are causing cancer in children? How can you give immunity to a company that's okay with causing cancer in children?
It is mind-blowing. It is absolutely mind-blowing. But I guess there's a chance that Kemp will veto it. I don't think he will. I
No,
honestly
because
don't think he will.
that bill was paid for, obviously. There's no
Yeah.
other thing
Oh
that they
yeah,
took
well, Bayer
yesterday.
Monsanto, Bayer owns Monsanto. Bayer Pharmaceutical
Right.
owns Monsanto, and Bayer Pharmaceutical is pushing this all over the country because guess what? If Bayer Pharmaceutical can make sure their glyphosate remains in our food supply all over the country and people keep getting cancer, then they keep selling more prescription drugs and more big
Right.
pharma solutions for it. So
Right.
yeah, Bayer Pharma is 100% a huge fan of this. And why would they not? Why would they not be backing and supporting the glyphosate this, glyphosate that, because they make money selling the glyphosate. They make money off of their interest in big ag, and then they make more money because they sell the meds that you need once you've ingested the glyphosate that made you sick. Of course they have.
It's so evil. Like, there's not
Well,
an amount of money in the world that you could pay me off to be participate in that kind of nonsense. I
Well,
don't.
and the thing is, they passed this legislation. I can't remember specifically the date. I want to say it was like March 15th, March 17th, but then all of a sudden, boom, March 27th, March 24th, or March 27th, there's a huge court victory here where a man, I think it was a man that was awarded, $2 to $3 billion
Yep.
for the Roundup. CNN reported on it. And so it's almost like they were trying to get that legislation passed because they knew that this judgment was going to come.
Yeah.
And that's not the first one. I mean, from my understanding, I think there's been in excess of $10 billion of judgments against Monsanto for the Roundup, the glyphosate.
Consider this, right? So you got Kemp's got his globalist billionaire fund, right?
Right.
If you're going to be on the hook for 10 to 20 billion dollars, if liability continues, that means that if you spend $5 billion buying off state level politicians, you're saving a lot of money, aren't you?
Right. Exactly.
So that's what's going on here. That's how this is working. That's how Bayer Pharmaceutical is looking at this, because
and they're doing it state by state. I mean,
yes, they are.
100%.
Yeah. Now, luckily, we've had a few states that have told them to pound sand, but we've had a couple states that want to sell out. I mean, it's just mind blowing. Georgia, and it's interesting because I work with GWF, Global Wellness Forum, and we're fighting this in a lot of places and fighting a bunch of different things like that. But it has been, the Georgia push is a case study on how the corruption works. But now that I understand this, I got to look into this thing with Kemp, because that is really a shocking thing. There's got to be some law somewhere that facilitates this kind of corruption. It's interesting to know that you guys actually passed a law to facilitate corruption in the state.
And listen, I'm not an attorney. I don't play one on TV, but a number of attorneys here in Georgia who are frustrated with Kemp themselves have said he's one of the most powerful governors in the country. And in order to change that, you would have to change the Georgia state constitution, which is no small task. But, we need to do something because the people do not have a voice here. We absolutely do not have a voice. You would think that this pesticide legislation would have been easy for us to shut down, right? But
No.
I mean, just in Cobb County, which is one of the biggest counties, it's the third most populous county in the state and one of the most important ones when you're looking at national politics and presidential elections. I live in Cobb County. I pretty much lived here my entire life, but our former Cobb County chair, I mean, before you know it, here she is. She's been persuaded by the powers that be at the Georgia Dome, that this is not such a bad thing. And I mean, I can point you right to the video where, I mean, the post on Facebook where she's trying to convince people that it wasn't such a bad thing. And it's like, that's when I talk about he has gone in and some of these people are now compromised. She's one of the ones I'm talking about.
So are they going to boot her out now? Are you guys going to replace her?
Oh no. So she's running. She was term limited. So she just left as Cobb County chair, but now she's running for first vice chair of the Georgia GOP. And that's what the executive committee, the chairman has done is block the grassroots candidate running against her, saying she doesn't qualify because her resume was not sent in the proper, format.
He's making up rules because that's not in your rules. He's just making it up.
What he's trying to do is he's trying to clear the slate. He's trying to give each of these people he wants, a clean slate, so they have pretty much nobody to run against.
Yeah,
it's dirty politics.
Charity knows a little bit about that.
You say that because that's what we deal with now. So he was actually one of the best senators we've ever had, but he has been the worst chairman worst leader of any organization I've ever seen. He's not successfully pulled off anything. And but that's what he does is he changes rules. He makes them up like there's something written down. And it's interesting. We haven't had a state committee meeting since June of last year. And that was because the vice chair, that's what they do because the grassroots have control. And so they just don't allow you to do business. They don't call meetings. The only reason the budget committee has met is because the budget committee members got together and and they insisted on it. But it's the same playbook they all have. They change the rules. They just don't allow you to meet to be able to get business done.
Let me tell you how bad it is here. Our treasurer there are 6 bank accounts. Our treasurer does not have access to the bank accounts. She was elected in 2023. She's been asking for access to the bank accounts because she's responsible. Our rules say that the treasurer should be the custodian of the bank accounts and responsible for all deposits. She has never had access to the bank accounts. She does not have online access. She has never seen a bank statement. She has asked for it over. She has asked for it over and over. There's a credit card for the Georgia GOP that the chair has the one card, and his staffer has the other card. She has never seen a statement for that credit card. All she will see is line items, payments like to Synovus Bank for $20,000 or whatever. She's never seen a statement. So she's never seen the bank statement. She's never seen the credit card statement. She does not have access to the accounts to see what's in the accounts or anything. And she's pushed and pushed. They refuse to give her access. And so she says to him, I need to have access to the accounts or I am not going to sign any more FEC reports. He comes back at her and says, so what you're telling me is you haven't been doing your job for the past year and a half. He says, I'm not giving you access. We've never done it this way. To change things now would be detrimental to the Georgia GOP. You're not getting access. So, we have a treasurer. She's very upset about it.
So it would be detrimental for the treasurer that the GOP elected to have access to the bank accounts. That's detrimental.
Yes, that's what he told her.
Why isn't she taking it? Why is this not in court? Why is this not something she's doing something about? And she's probably putting herself, I don't know this for sure. I'm not licensed in Georgia, but I'm guessing she's putting herself at legal risk. If you take that title, you have that responsibility. And if she's not doing her job or is being prevented from doing her job, she almost has to sue just to keep herself out of trouble, you would think.
So in her defense, she has never been a political person. She's like, I'm not a political person. I'm a CPA. She teaches accounting. She said, I thought I could help my party by doing the books. And I'm like, well, now you are a political person. Well, then she knows
as a CPA that she has a duty.
Right.
You can't, as a CPA, just shirk your duty. You have an ethical obligation to do certain things.
Right.
And I don't know about Georgia, so I'm not providing legal advice here, but I'm just thinking out loud. She's actually, I would say she's probably putting herself at risk of liability because. And
she has been told that, Tom, and I've talked to her about that too. And I'm actually trying to help her on that front. This conversation and I'm just going off what she's told me, right? I was not part of the conversation, whatever, but she has no reason to lie to me about this. But I'm very concerned about it. I told her, this cannot stand. You've got to do something about this. So she is pushing forward, and I hope that there's going to be a resolution. But at the end of the day, it should have never come to this, right? It should never be this way. And the committee should have a problem with this. But again, the committee the majority of people, march to the beat of our chair, and that's the way it is. And they don't know, they refuse to buck the system. I want to say this too, because I'm blessed that I have worked in so many states across the country, and I've worked at every level with the RNC, the NRSC, the NRCC, the counties, all across the country. I know that this is not normal. I know that it should not be this way. And so, and now I'm in a position where I'm blessed and I'm cursed, because I can't unsee what I've seen, right? And it's hard to change. It's hard to, and many of these people that are in the Georgia GOP have never lived in another state and worked for another state party or been involved with another state party. They don't know it to be any different. And so that's my message to everybody is, you know what? It can be different. It should be different. And the party should exist to represent the people. And that's the work. That's where we've got to focus our energy to get to that place where the party does represent the people.
Well, I got to tell you, Amy, it is downright disheartening to hear the situation down there. But I don't think you guys are without hope. If you've got the people, you've got the power. The question is, how do you get the people to get the power and to take advantage of the power that they have, and to recognize that ultimately it is always only with the consent of the governed that the government exists. And so, at the end of the day, we just have to remind people that they have that and help them to figure out how to use that properly and appropriately within the law to facilitate the change that they want. And it can be done. It can absolutely be done. Charity, have you won yet? We got to wrap up here, but I
don't need to blow y'all's mind.
No, we needed this, but I mean, Charity, just a quick update, because we need you to win yesterday. Have you won yet?
May 3rd. So they are coming out. I get attacked nonstop, constantly. They're mad. They were never going to go easily. They were never going to go quietly. And that's okay. I think that the majority of people in the party can work together, but those that have been lying, cheating, stealing, they're really mad about it. And that's okay. I expect them to be mad.
They don't want to lose power. It
is. It's a social club that they have gone to great lengths to protect, and they're upset that we, the people, actually want to make it mean something. They have been, the last several years, they take credit for what we do. Meanwhile, they have tried to block us constantly. While we were out knocking doors for Trump and we were out making phone calls for Trump, they were hosting these conventions across the state called The Great Divide, attacking myself, the vice chair, attacking you, Tom. That's what they spent the last few weeks of the campaign doing. And then they stood up and took credit for all 77 counties voting for Trump. No,
you know how I love when they attack
me. While they were dividing. Yes.
I kind of get a boot out of that. It makes me feel
It fuels your fire, right? I mean, keep attacking me. I'm over the target.
Well, you don't attack someone unless they're doing something, right?
Right.
I mean, I don't walk down the street and, if someone walks by me in the street, I don't just walk over and punch them and pick a fight.
Right.
Unless you're doing something to annoy me or to do something, you don't get a reaction from me. So the wonderful news about that is we're apparently making an impact. So I'm very excited about that and look forward to continuing to make that impact. And, I think we're really on to something with what we're doing here. If we keep supporting people like you and other people around the country, we can get some stuff done. So, let's I look forward to chatting with you both off air about this and figuring out how we can help to get the great state of Georgia into the same sort of situation the great state of Oklahoma is in. And I look forward to figuring out. By the way, if you are in around, because I don't think they're accepting mail-in voting for Oklahoma state chair.
No.
But you can always try. I mean, you can always mail your vote in, see whether they'll do anything. But if you are in or around Oklahoma, you should definitely. I think can they vote? Can they register as Democrat and vote for you 3 times?
You're hilarious. I would not tolerate that, even if it was for me.
Well.
Hey,
Tom, don't tell Charity if you do that.
Tom is coming to Oklahoma in a few months. We're going to have him come and do a big celebration on our first state committee meeting. So we'll be putting that out soon.
Well, and I want to say real quick before we go, any of your viewers or listeners that are from Georgia, you can find me online on Twitter, Facebook. It's Amy Kremer. It's pronounced Kramer, but it's spelled like Kremer, Kremer. Or you can go to amykremer.com and reach out to me there, because I'd love to hear from you. We need your support. It's going to take everybody to make the changes that need to be made.
Understand this, folks. If you want to make a difference, you have to get involved. Go get involved. Go to your local precinct. Get involved in your local GOP, your county level GOP. You need to start retaking every single county one at a time. If we do not do that, there is no fixing this. And understand this, if you want to get rid of the rhinos, you've got to get control of the GOP. It's the GOP that's allowing the rhinos to be there. And the only way we fix this is for we the people to get off our butts, to do what's inconvenient, and to get involved on a massive scale. Every single day, we need to ask ourselves what we're doing. We got to support people like Amy. We got to support people like Charity. You can't complain about what's going on if you aren't doing anything about it. And don't say you can't do anything. There's a million things. You don't have to be a lawyer. You don't have to be a doctor. You don't have to be a genius. You just have to be willing. So make sure you're fighting. Local action, national impact. I agree with General Flynn. Thank you guys for watching.